And welcome to part 5 of our second batch of 45 RPM vinyl record picture sleeves. Really happy to have you with us today. And I never ever thought I would see a David Gilmour 45 RPM. But here's one right here for his song Blue Light. And I was really shocked when I came across this one in the box because I don't even remember when I acquired this one that I had it. And it's got two great shots of him, one with him on the guitar with the guitar, and one of him up close. And I loved his solo albums. All of David Gilmour's solo albums were great. The first two especially. Sounded very much like Floyd on a lot of songs, but not so much on a few others. So here we got the A side being Blue Light, and the B side being Cruise. Both songs from his About Face album, 1984. It's dated here, and yeah, I really happy to add that one to the collection. And following up Blue Light with Midnight Blue by Lou Gramm. So I think we have shown that 45 in one of our previous episodes, but certainly not a picture sleeve version of it. So this time we get to see the picture sleeve. That was the album cover, so not really much special, but it does give you a list of all the songs on it. And I know I've got Ready or Not on a 45 too somewhere, but I don't remember which song was on the B side. And I'm not sure if I've shown that to you yet either. Getting to where I've got so many episodes under my belt and so many boxes done that it is getting a little more difficult to remember just what I've done. It's easy when it was last week. It's not so easy when it was last month. So here we've got the A side of Midnight Blue, with the B side being Chain of Love. So Lou sounded very much like Foreigner. His solo efforts did not vary far from the formula that they used. And moving on, we've got Goodbye Stranger by Supertramp, which was a band that had a lot of songs I truly loved. Goodbye Stranger being one of them. I just picked up a copy of Long Way Home last weekend. It's not here. It's not a picture sleeve, so we'll be showing you that sometime. I guess I could have shown it in between the two Supertramp picture sleeves that I have here, but I got it downstairs, and I'm not going to run down there now to grab it. We'll just have it in the next box, which will be following this series of picture sleeves. So you'll have that to look forward to seeing at another later date. But here we've got Goodbye Stranger on the A side, and Even Quiet in the Quietest Moments on the B. And I'm pretty sure that we have shown that 45 in the past. And pointing that out again, it's from Breakfast in America and from Even in the Quietest Moments. So it's one of your typical A&Ms where they've promoted two albums with 145. And then this one is an interesting picture sleeve. This is the Logical song. And they just list all the words, I think, in the English language that end in CAL. Everything's practical, beautiful, wonderful, sensible, magical, fat bottom girls. So I had to throw that in there again. For if you saw the last episode, we covered Queen's Fat Bottom Girls and briefly talked about some of the recent controversy over it. I still think that's just silly because, there's nothing derogatory in that song. It's satire, if anything. But moving on, we're talking about Supertramp here. Just Another Nervous Wreck from the album Breakfast in America, being on the B side of that. So here's the labels, and just like the other one, Logical Song from Breakfast in America, and Just Another Nervous Wreck, also from Breakfast in America. So there, they surprised me again. They got me on that one. I was expecting two songs from two different albums because A&M does that so much. And then surprise, we've got a third Supertramp here. So can't quite get all that one under the zoom there, and one, they got it spaced out from edge to edge. And I did try lifting the camera up a little bit to get the full sleeve in there, and you know, you can pull it off. It's raining again, being what this one is for. You can pull it off, but some of the text gets a little blurred out. The sweet spot's kind of right here where I've got it, and that's where pretty much all my videos have been made. And it just moving it up even just a little bit makes you lose some of this text. You just can't make it out. It blurs, especially when it gets out to the edges. So we've got it here in the sweet spot. It's raining again on A side, and the B side of that being Bonnie. Bonnie was from Famous Last Words, as was It's Raining Again. So there we go. A&M is starting to give you two songs off the same album. All right, Stray Cats. I really like the Stray Cats. Stray Cat Strut, this was their first song that I remember being really big for them. And what a great group shot there with the cars and the flames. Yeah, B-side being You Don't Believe Me, according to that sleeve there. And then the back side, unfortunately, is the exact same with just a little bit different text along the bottom. So slightly disappointing there. But showing the 45, we've got Stray Cat Strut on the A side, and they've got it starred, which was another way of pointing out A sides. A lot of the times they would put stars. Some of the DJ promo copies will have a big black star. That's always the way they signified an A side for those. B side being You Don't Believe Me, just like the sleeve said. So we've got another Stray Cats here. This time being Rock This Town, which was also another big hit for them and one of their really good songs. I really liked, like I said, the work of the Stray Cats and Brian Seltzer. I'm not entirely positive how to pronounce his name. I apologize for that. I do have difficulties and struggles with pronunciation sometimes. Especially with names that aren't pronounced the way they are spelled. I do the best I can. Sometimes I've looked them up and, like Mila Jovovich. I always pronounced her way wrong, and when I was going to do the videos for Resident Evil, I wanted to try and make sure I got her name right, so put a little effort into it. But when you're just flipping through these and coming across names and stuff, they can be very challenging sometimes. So Rock This Town on the A side, and You Can't Hurry Love on the B side. I'm not sure if that's the same song that Phil Collins covered. I'm not sure who did that originally, but it does look like it's written by Holland, Dozier, and Holland, and this one was written by Brian. So good possibility that is the You Can't Hurry Love song that we all know. I'd have to throw it on to be 100% sure. And now, can you guess what this one is? Peter Gabriel doing Sledgehammer. And I like some of Peter's stuff. Some of his stuff got pretty weird. He's definitely progressive. And, he started out with Genesis. He was the original singer for Genesis. And when he went solo, story goes that they auditioned some ridiculous amount of people to take his place. And Phil Collins ended up just saying, I'll do it. The rest of that's just blank. So not real impressive on the backside there. But that's when Phil Collins became the full-time singer for Genesis, and I believe he was doing a lot of backup vocals before that, but Peter Gabriel was the original singer, and he's on Salisbury Hill and a lot of the big songs that you do hear on the radio from the early Genesis days. Sledgehammer was, I believe, his first real big hit, but don't hold me to that. It's the first real big hit of his in the 80s that I recall hearing, and I remember hearing. And B-side of that being Don't Break This Rhythm, which isn't a song I'm as familiar with. And that's dated 86, so yeah, that's right there in the middle of the 80s. And speaking of progressive bands, here we've got Yes. And this is actually from their more poppy period, Owner of a Lonely Heart, off of 90218 or something like that. It was the catalog number is what they named the album. That's how they got that the name for that album, if you're not aware of that. Looks like somebody paid $2.49 for this at some point in time. But this was a great album. I really liked a lot of the songs off of it. We're talking 1983 here. And going on back, I did like quite a bit of their early 70s work as well. So there's the A-side label there for Owner of a Lonely Heart. And flipping it over to the B-side, we've got one called Our Song, which I'm not as familiar with. Doesn't note whether or not it was on the same album or not. And then we're picking up here with We Live for Love by Pat Benatar. What a lovely lady Pat was. Or is, I should say. Haven't seen her recently, but I know she hasn't done an album in a long time. And I was a big Pat Benatar fan. I liked the bulk of her work. Of course, the beginning stuff was the best, and this is actually the cover of her first album. So, B-side being So Sincere from In a Heat of the Night, which also contains the powerful rocker, Heartbreaker, Dream Maker, Love Taker, Don't You Mess Around With Me. So, we've got the A-side label there, We Live for Love, and the B-side label, So Sincere. Both of those songs from In the Heat of the Night. So, we'll be back with some more Pat in episode 6. Join us for that.